Maranatha, Christ is coming. Good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody. Look at the lehas. I like seeing how they fill up the whole pew here. That's always cool to see. All right, hope everyone's having a good start to their morning so far. Amen. And so, Texas. Texas is pretty big, right? I think Texas is about the size of France, right? And France is one of the richest countries in the world, and Texas is just one state in the United States, and Texas is about the size of France. Well, there's something that's twice the size of Texas that is floating in the middle of the Pacific. You might have heard of it. It's called, people refer to it as Plastic Island, or it's also called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's twice the size of Texas. It's just plastic trash. Imagine twice the size of Texas. It's probably hard to even conceive of that. Just floating in the Pacific all the time. And that plastic is constantly being exposed not just to the ocean, but it's also being exposed to the UV radiation and light from the sun. And so what does that mean for the ocean? Right? It's breaking down, and the plastics are getting into the ocean, right? We have a big problem with microplastics in our civilization. Really, you know, ever since we've really began to industrialize, we've always had problems with strange contaminations that exist for a generation. Like maybe the generation before mine had problems with like asbestos poisoning. I'm sure some of you remember asbestos poisoning, or lead poisoning. Lead was like in everything. It was like in paint and children's toys and all sorts of stuff. Well, right now the big major contaminant and problem that we have is with microplastics. And microplastics, they are, let's see, I think they're 5 millimeters or less. Yeah, so it's a piece of plastic that's about 5 millimeters wide in diameter. It's really tiny, so small that you usually can't perceive of it. It can even be in the air. You can even breathe in microplastics. And most people are contaminated with some level of microplastics. Pretty much everyone here. I can almost guarantee that 100% of people here are contaminated with some level of microplastics. And that's really serious because microplastics, they cause all sorts of problems. They disrupt hormones. They can disrupt your endocrine production. They can disrupt your testosterone and estrogen if you're a man or a woman. They disrupt all sorts of major hormones. They cause massive inflammation. They naturally, you know, they carry a lot of chemical byproducts in them, so they're constantly toxifying you with all sorts of toxins that they bring. And they're linked to all sorts of disease, especially autoimmune diseases. And we know that autoimmune disease is gone out of control in the past, 10, 15 years. And we're hearing about all sorts of strange exotic diseases that people didn't really have in the past. And microplastics are one of the big things that are greatly contributing to these things. In plastic, you've probably heard of BPA, right? Or DEHPA. These are agents that they put into the plastic. BPA, they put it to make the plastic clear. So like whenever you're drinking bottled water or whatever, when the plastic is really clear, you can see through it really easily. They put agents in it in order to get it that way, because the plastic is often opaque, so they have to put extra agents in it. But the problem is that those things cause cancer. And they put other agents in it to make it soft, right? You notice how like a water bottle or a plastic bag, it's really soft, it's pliable, it's really easy to manipulate. That's because they put chemicals in it to make it do that. They're called plasticizers. Those are things that they put in plastic to make it more soft and flexible. And they even put those things in cologne and perfume, which is really weird. I used to be really into cologne. I'm really not anymore. But I used to be. I used to like collect colognes and stuff. And a lot of cologne and perfume too, they have something called phthalates in them. And phthalates are plasticizers. They put it in the cologne in order to help it spray out better and last longer. So when you spray it on your skin, it attaches to the skin better and it projects better so people can smell it. They put that in a lot of perfumes and colognes. And all those things it's plastic. You're spraying plastic onto yourself. Your clothes are made of plastics. You know that? You know that polyester is plastic? Polyester is a synthetic fabric that's made from plastic. It's a plastic fiber. That's where it comes from. And whenever you sweat, especially if you have polyester undergarments, socks, underwear, things like that, they're on areas that often sweat, they get hot, they're porous, their pores open up, and then you absorb the microplastics that are in the cloth, right? You absorb those things. So So that's a really important thing, is to get polyester and things out of your wardrobe, because microplastics are a major contamination that we all deal with. You should also try your best to not use bottled water. Almost everyone gets hundreds and hundreds of particles of microplastics every time they drink a bottle of water. I think 80% of Americans, that they have traceable amounts of BPA in their urine. Like, and that's serious. That's a major poisoning. That's like having lead poisoning. That's 80% of people have that. Most people have over a full credit card's worth of plastic in their bodies, swimming around at any given time. That's crazy. And it causes infertility as well. So for people who are struggling to have kids or looking to have kids in the future, that's one of the big things that causes infertility. It's microplastics. And so I would encourage you to use things like glass and steel containers for carrying water and things like that around. Don't use disposable plastics so much. Don't microwave plastics. Never microwave plastics. Never heat plastics. Like, these are all things that we need to think about, and we need to be more conscious of, because the amount of plastics that are in our diet and our environment is so vast. Anything that comes from the ocean is contaminated with it. You know, we mentioned Plastic Island. Everything that comes, even the sea salt, even sea salt's contaminated with microplastics. So just things to keep in mind as we're navigating, deciding on what we wear, what we put our water in, the things we keep our food in, plastic containers. Let's try and remove more and more of these things and use steel, stainless steel, glass, other containers that are better for us, natural cloths like cotton, linen, wool, that will be better for us so that we can mitigate this damage as much as possible. I pray you may all be in perfect health. Amen.